Now let's see the definition of a circle and the equation of a circle. So a circle is a set of all points in the plane that are equally distant from a fixed point. Okay, now all of you know the shape of a circle, right? But now we're going to look at this mathematically. Okay, so it says that the fixed point around which the set of all points that are equally distant is called the center of the circle. So what that means is if you draw a coordinate axis, right, the y-axis and the x-axis, and let's say you pick this fixed point over here, right, and all of the points equally distant from this one point eventually make up a circle, right? Because this point over here is of the same length as this one, is the same length as this one, this one, this one, right? These are all the same lengths and they're all centered around this one point, which is the center of the circle. Okay. Now, the distance from the center of a circle to any point on the circle is called the radius of the circle. So all of these distances that are drawn on the circle that are equally distant from the center, all of them are the radiuses of the circle, or the radii of the circle. Okay. Now, let's see how we can construct the equation of a circle. We say that, let's say that r is the radius of the circle, right? The distance from the center of the circle to any point on the circle. And let's say that c represents the center of the circle. So the coordinates, the x coordinate of the center is h and the y coordinate is k. Okay, these are just arbitrary coordinates. And let's say that the point P is any point on the circle. Okay, and obviously the x coordinate is x and the y coordinate is y. Okay, now let's just draw out what I mean over here. So this is the coordinate axis. Let's say this is the center of the circle. So this is the point C. Okay, this is the point C. And in the x-axis it is at h, and in the y-axis it is at k. Okay, and now let's draw a circle around it, and let's take any point on the circle. Let's say this point over here, right? Let's say this point is point P, right? And its x value is the x and its y value is y. Okay, now that you have all of this, we need to calculate the distance from C to P, and that will be the radius. So the distance from P to C is the radius r, and we already know that the coordinates of P are x and y, and we know that the coordinates of C are h and k. So the distance from P to C can be represented like this, right? You already know the distance formula from before, and that is equal to the radius r. Now, if you square on both the left-hand side and the right-hand side, you get this, right? And this is the equation of a circle in its standard form, by the way. And if the center of the circle is at the origin, so the x value is 0 and the y value is 0, right? The x value is 0 and the y value is 0, then this equation becomes equal to this, right? Because if this h over here is equal to 0 and this k over here is equal to 0, you eventually end up with this equation,